Alright, welcome back to another episode of Emotional Nightmares. My name is Tyler. I am your host. And again, today I have with me... Take that off camera. And again, sorry, I had a vape out. Again, I have with me Jamie, who is doing another episode with us. Today we're answering the question, what is the difference between needing to be clean and wanting recovery? We got this question from somebody. So I think that's a good question, right? And I think that a lot of times I hear people who will ask me that, like, they'll constantly be like, I need to get clean. And when you ask them, well, what's the purpose? Like, what's that mean? It always breaks into, well, I need to get my kids back, or I want to make sure my significant other is gonna leave me, and if I don't get clean, so like I need to get clean, and I think that creates a barrier all within its own, because it's kind of a loaded question, right? Needing to get clean to me sounds like you're doing this for somebody other than yourself. Wanting to get recovery, to me, symbolizes that you're wanting a new way of life. You know what I mean? That you're wanting to change, that you're striving for it, that like there's that part inside of you that finally breaks. And to me, I look at it reverse, right? Because to me, I look at it like it's that part inside of me that breaks, that says, I don't have another option. The only option I have is I have to do better, because I'm no longer accepting of the way my life is going. If I need to get clean, that sounds like I'm okay with all the bullshit that's going on in my life. I just need to do this to get everybody off my back. What do you think?
I think wanting something speaks like towards the words desire, or like a yearning for something different, or like a want. Like wanting something and needing something are two different things. Like need is something that you have to have, or it's like a want is like a desire or something you don't really need, but you just kind of want, or you just like I want a new car, but I don't need it. Like I need to get clean, but do I want to change my life? Do I want recovery? And most of the time, like when you hear that, it just sounds fake. Like I need to get clean. Like, yeah, that's just a part of it. Like there's a whole bunch more. Like,
everybody needs that.
Everybody needs to be sober, but like needing and wanting are two different things. Like I can need to do something. Like I need to do laundry. Doesn't mean I want to do laundry. I mean, sooner or later I'm going to run out of clean clothes, and then I'm definitely going to need to do laundry.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But like wanting to do something and needing to do something is kind of like two different things. Like, and you can go on all different kinds of angles with that kind of question. Like if you work the NA program, they want you to be clean. But you have people like on Suboxone and methadone that they say they're not clean, but they want recovery. And that's like a topic that's kind of touchy for some people. Like people out there like, you need to be clean to work this program. But the desire for that person to want to change the things in their life are greater than pleasing someone else. Like, well, you need to be clean for me to sponsor you. And it's like, whatever happened to carrying a message and like being open-minded?
So we're going down that rabbit hole, huh?
I don't know.
I'm with you, right? Because like, that's a pet peeve. I hate that, right? Because so if you go into the 12-step programs, right, the requirement for membership is a desire to stop using. It doesn't say that you stopped. It says it's a desire. So what that means is like you want to quit. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I get really irritated with the whole, well, this person's on Suboxone, so they're not clean. That's bullshit, right? Because like at the end of the day, like I don't have to agree with it, but I do have to respect the fact that here's an individual coming in that's trying to fucking do different, man. They're trying something different. So if they're trying something different, that means they're trying to work in a recovery style program. And this is where we get into the whole premise of this series, this season, the pathways to recovery, right? Because, again, just because it's not your way of recovery doesn't mean it's wrong, you know? And unfortunately, I've seen where a lot of these programs they've kind of pushed people away because, like I've seen a guy, like I've talked about this on a couple episodes, where I have a guy, it was a friend of mine, who I asked him, what does recovery mean to you? And he said, Tyler, I'm on Suboxone. And I said, okay, but I didn't ask that. I asked you what recovery means. And he said, listen, I have full custody of my kids. I'm not on parole today. I have a job. I own my house. I own a vehicle. I'm okay. And I told him, I said, then you are in recovery. Stop allowing people to tell you you're not in recovery because you're on Suboxone. And the argument is always, well, what happens when they come off of it? Well, hopefully, the whole point of being on that is to learn the coping skills to deal with not being on that. And maybe they need to be on it for 15, 10 years. 10, 15, 20 years. Who knows? Right? I don't know. I can't tell you what's right or wrong. I also get irritated with that. And I get irritated with the fucking word semantics. Right? Like, we've talked about this a million times.
Mm-hmm.
I hate it. I hate it more than anything, right? Like, one group of people would tell you, well, we say we're sober around here, and the other group will tell you, well, we say we're clean around here. Who gives a fuck? Like, at the end of the day, I don't have time to play word semantics. Everybody I know is dying on fentanyl right now, right? Because fentanyl is killing everybody. You think that they give a shit if you're clean or sober? We ain't got time to play these games of, are you saying the right words? Like, shut up. Like, at the end of the day, let's talk about, hey man, there's a better way. Let's figure out how to not do these things that are going to take you back to where you have to worry about dying from fentanyl. Fentanyl's killing everybody.
It's killing all kinds of generations.
And we're going to sit here and play fucking word semantics. And then you're going to tell somebody, like, oh, you're not clean if you're on Vivitrol. So fuck. You know what I mean? Or Suboxone, or the medical marijuana, right? Like, at the end of the day, I know a guy on medical marijuana. I look at him and I'm like, yo, this dude, I want what he has.
Yeah.
Right? I don't want to smoke weed, but damn, his life, like, I wish I had the mindset that he has. He was at peace. And it's not because he's high all the time. It's because, like, he's actually learned how to deal with some things. And the reasons he smokes medical marijuana, I don't know. I'm not a doctor, nor is it my it's none of my business to ask him why either. You know what I mean? I get irritated with that because, like, that's between them and a doctor.
Yeah. Like, my question, there's this person who was like, I won't sponsor them if they're on Suboxone. I won't sponsor them if they're on medical marijuana. And I looked right at that person like, well, will you talk to the mother who just lost her 18-year-old kid and tell them, hey, you won't work with somebody because they had to be on Suboxone. And therefore they're dead now because that person had died. You denied sponsoring them and even giving them an opportunity to the things we've learned and pass it out. You just said, nope, I won't sponsor you because you're on Suboxone. 6 months later, that person's dead. And it just boggles my mind. It's like, if we have this, it doesn't matter what their choices are. Our only mission is to like carry this message that certain things and certain programs work, and this is how you make them work. And I'm not here to dictate like whether you're taking ketamine treatments down in Pittsburgh or whatever not. Like, dude, if you want recovery, these are the keys and these are the things that I've learned to like stay where I'm at in recovery.
Yeah.
Like, who am I to judge you? Like, on your different avenues and pathways. Like, that's none of my fucking business. If you say you're clean and you've been on Suboxone for 2 years and it's your 2-year anniversary, you're fucking clean to me. You're sober.
Well, look at statistics.
Yeah.
Right? Like, at the end of the day, like, here's the thing. Like, I mean, I have a degree in this. You know what I mean? Like, I have a master's in psychology, and a lot of the times I want to see the statistics. Like, and I know people will be like, "Oh, I don't believe in statistics." Oh, I do, right? I do. Sometimes they're bullshit. Sometimes you can make statistics up, and you'll never have enough accurate information statistically. But there's a lot. There's such a thing as like clinical trials, right? That's real. There's real science behind that, right? That, you know, like you had mentioned about that ketamine treatment, right? That's not something I want to try. I want to do it, right? Because I've also been sober since 2006, right? So obviously it's not something I'm going to go do. But there are a bunch of data in clinical trials with that where I can say to somebody, maybe you should try it. You know what I mean? Like, PTSD is real. That's a real damn thing, you know? And, like, there are people in this world that need a form of medication, you know? And, like, that's the thing that irritates me is when you get people that are trying to tell people how to do life because they've never done the medication. So they're like, well, I didn't have to do it, so this is how you do it. And it's like, but not everybody's different. Like, everybody's got a different thing.
Yeah.
And, like, if this person's really struggling, maybe they need that medication because fentanyl is real. And it's killing everybody.
So is xylazine.
The xylazine shit is crazy, right? Yeah. And if the listeners, like, if you guys haven't experienced xylazine yet, get ready for that shit.
Get what?
Yeah. We now have clients coming in with big ass holes in them over that. And, like, you know, at the end of the day, like, it's about learning different coping skills. So if we're learning these coping skills, like, we got to learn how to deal with that.
Yeah.
You know?
Like, I wear a size 10
fun.
shoe. Doesn't mean my shoe's going to fit everyone's foot. You know, like, their level of, like, recovery, they want to be in recovery. But we have other people judging them because they're not in their definition of clean. And that's kind of scary because, like, who am I to judge? Like, who am I to, like, say, I'm not going to share what I've learned along the lines because you don't work exactly how I need you to work. Like, that's not unity. That's not, like, carrying a message. That's not having an open mind. You know what I mean? Like, if you're telling someone that you won't teach them these things, sponsor them, whatever the word you want to play with that, then where's the open-mindedness to the 12 steps that you've learned? Do you know what I mean? Like, open-mindedness.
Yeah, and I think the argument can be made, right? Because now I'll switch and play the devil's advocate, right? Because I think the argument can be made where, like, the one particular fellowship, like, when they first got started, I mean, fuck it, I'll say their name. So, like, because, like, when you read out the Alcoholics Anonymous and everything like that, like, it says, like, we deal with alcoholism, right? And it says over and over again, like, our primary purpose is that of alcohol, and over and over, yada, yada, yada. And, like, I mean, I get it, right? Like, that's, I get it. Like, they want it that way. And, like, I respect that. So like I do agree, like if you are going to AA, you have to understand that their primary purpose is alcoholism and dealing with alcoholism. And there are those old timers that'll tell you, I just don't understand because I'm an alcoholic and I drank myself to death. I can help you if that's your problem, right? And to them, you'll hear them where they'll be like, I don't think you should try this or this or this or this because of these things. When you go to the other fellowship, NA, they try to talk about how addiction is their primary purpose, right? And addiction is a broad term because it's basically encompassing everything. Um, but a lot of the times in translation, the message doesn't get lost. It's the person trying to give the message because they try to impose their will. You know what I mean? And like I'll always tell people like I might not agree with you on it, but I'm gonna try to help you. I'm gonna try to help you get to what you think recovery is. I don't have to agree on the medication, right? Because maybe I don't. There are times where I'm like, yeah, man, I don't agree with this. I think that your reasoning behind this medication is wrong. But that's just my opinion. But I will try to help you get to your recovery. Like, and again, wanting and needing, right? What do you want? What does recovery mean to you? And if you can't define what recovery means to you, then that means that you are doing this because of bullshit reasons. And with anything in life, it doesn't work if you're doing it for somebody else, right? If I tell you today, like, I really need to change. Why? Well, because if I don't make these changes, I'm gonna lose these things. I'm gonna lose these people, man. I need to do it. But why do you want to? Right? Like, and that's where it needs to be the line. Because like, if I need to make changes so I don't lose certain things, I have to ask myself, is it because I don't want to lose these things? Or is it because I really want this to be a better way of life so that I can maintain these things, right? Because like all my relationships in life, my friends, my job, I maintain them because I want recovery. And for me, recovery is a better way of thinking because I want to think better. I don't want to be a toxic person, right? And it's not that I don't need to be toxic. I could be toxic all day.
Real quick.
Yeah. I can go back to being a junkie if I want to. I can go back to fucking shooting dope. I don't want to. And I don't want to because that was hell. And I don't want that way of life. And even in an active addiction, there were times where I'm just like, I don't want this. This is not what I wanted out of life. You know? I don't need a better way of life. Like, I want a better way of life, so therefore I don't have a plan B. I only have plan A. It either works or I die. It's kind of how I had to look at it.
Same here. Like, I don't think I mean, every day of my addiction, I needed to be clean, but I didn't want to get sober. Like, I just kept going out getting high. And I think it comes down to, like, what do you truly want? Where do you want to be? Like, what do you truly desire? Like, honest to God, like, what do you want? Like, comes down to that. Didn't ask you what you need. I want to know what you want. I want to know what you think is, your individualized recovery path. Like, because no one's the same. Like, some people might have to do things a little differently. Doesn't mean it doesn't change, like, certain principles and steps and guidelines and stuff like that. Like, because everything kind of goes hand in foot,
Mm-hmm.
Like,
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I gotta accept I have a fucking problem, of course, and then I gotta, like, let it go and, like, work through all kinds of different things. And, like, no matter what choice you go or avenue of, like, recovery path, spiritual or this or that, NAA, smart recovery, like, whether you just go with a CRS or CPS or IOP or OP or just trauma therapy. Like, everybody has different paths or a different individual thing that's going to work better for them than it did for me. Like, I know what helped me get to where I was at my first couple of years, but I'm, not going back to, like, dealing with some of the drama, because, like, I don't want to be the person sitting there 30 years down the road going to a meeting every fucking day and being like, I need to be here, I'm going to relapse. Like, where's that going to get me? Like,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? Like, I want to have a life after that. Like, I get the basic concepts. I don't need to take English 101 for 30 years straight in high school, did I? No, basic math is basic math, and I worked up to algebra and trigonometry, like, I guess once you start wanting something, you want to get to the next plateau, the next level. And I think that's what comes down to the difference between needing to be clean and wanting to find recovery.
Yeah, I agree with that, yeah, I agree. I think, that was a great question. I think, like, looking at it, like, that was a really good question that I had to ask is, what's the difference? And I think it's because, like, when you're early in recovery, and, like, even people a lot, like, in rehab will ask that, but, like, just early in recovery, you kind of get faced with that question. Do I want this or do I need this? And, my sponsor, and Jim always used to say to me, he would always say that, this isn't for people that need it. This is for people that want it. Everybody needs a better way of life, but not everybody wants it. Because when you want it, it also means that you're willing to go to any lengths to get it. You know what I mean? Like, I wanted a better way of life, so I was willing to do shit that I didn't want to do. I was willing to sit in a room and learn to be comfortable with being uncomfortable. I had to learn how to actually be vulnerable. I had to learn how to express my emotions. I had to learn how to be productive in society. I had to learn how I can't just talk to everybody the way I want to. I had to go, sometimes, sometimes I had to sit in the wrong room until I was able to sit in the right room, and
Comes down to one of my favorite sayings. If you want what others don't, you got to do what others won't.
yeah,
It comes down to all the kinds of thought processes in life, whether it's recovery, relationships. If you want what others don't got, then you got to do what others won't.
you gotta think different,
Yeah.
At the end of the day, if I can, I gotta learn to swim with birds and fly with fishes.
Yeah.
Yeah, you gotta think different, right? Think outside of the box and learn to think and learn to actually think. And, like, when they say, play the tape all the way through, like, I wanted a better way of life, so I have to think of it, like, today I have to care about the consequences, There are plenty of times in life where I never gave a shit about consequences. I didn't care what would happen. Hell, I didn't want to even be on this earth.
No.
But I had to do it because I wanted something different. I remember laying in that bed, detoxing, shitting, pissing, and puking on myself, just sitting there like, I don't ever want this again. And I don't want to be here. And I remember being in rehab, looking at, I was looking at a guy who was in his 60s, and I'm like, I don't want to be in my fucking 60s, sitting in rehab, talking about war stories, glorifying my old days, because I'm trying to get into a 3-quarter house. Like, I don't want that, I want to, like, actually be I want to be good in life. And like when we talk about like what is recovery, I also think that you have to understand that like we can do better. Everybody can do better, but you have to want to do it, which means you have to be willing to put in work. Not everybody's willing to put in the work, you know? A lot of people just want to play the Cash 5 lottery, you know? I say the Cash 5 because back in the day we used to have a 3-on-3 basketball team. Shout out to Jim Bob. We used to have this Cash 5 basketball team. It was insane. It was insane though. It was bullshit. The police treated us like we were a local gang. We were just a group of kids that played basketball. But it was insane, right? But everybody wants to win the lottery. Nobody wants to work for it, you know?
Yeah.
I would love to win the lottery too, but you know what? I don't buy lottery tickets, so
Probably not going to
you know what I mean? Like, it ain't gonna work. But yeah, I hope that answers the question. We're gonna try to answer some more questions, do some more things. You know, we got some cool interviews with some authors. They wrote some books for you guys to check out. I'm gonna have some other cool guests on the show this season. Again, like I said, you're gonna see a few episodes pop in from time to time, whether it's with me and Jamie or me and James or a couple other people. I'm gonna do some off the wall episodes with, just because we're trying something new, trying something different, trying to give people something a little different. We've been asked a couple questions, so we're trying to answer some questions. Trying to figure this thing called YouTube out, you know? Trying to figure it out. Hopefully we can figure something out. We need some sponsors. Shout out to Blue Chew. Maybe they'll sponsor us.
It works.
I want Blue Chew to sponsor me. If you don't know what that is, you go check them out. That's all I'm gonna say. They don't pay me, so I'm not gonna say nothing more.
And if this episode gets 100,000 views in the next 3 months, I'll tattoo the purple recovery ribbon right on my throat. So please like, share, and subscribe, I guess.
Yeah, that'd be great. That'd be real great if we could get that. All right, man. I appreciate you guys. I appreciate you all for listening. Like always, man, you could have been anywhere in the world today. You sat here and chose to be here with us idiots. Listening to us talk. I hope you got something. I hope it answered the question. You know, I appreciate you guys for listening. I thank you for tuning in. Like, share, and subscribe. You know, and then share it again. Share it like 100 times on your social media of choice. We appreciate you, man. Thanks for watching.